back of the van at a counter with cabinets built into it. And the counter raises up. It's got storage underneath, and we put a little camping stove on top of it.
That's pretty cool. I got it. I see on your picture. That's neat. Y'all did that on y'all's own?
Yeah. I made a digital rendering of it in Google SketchUp.
Can I get a copy of that so our listeners have already seen it, because I posted on the Instagram today talking about the show, but we got into van dynamics. We have an auto-nomadic friend, but yours sounds like a very elaborate plan. I like the shelf situation.
I was under the impression this was a peer-reviewed kind of scientific journal podcast. That's where I'm coming from.
I back it, and I'll help in any form or facet. Maybe you're a carpenter as well. Do you know Jesus?
He is a veritable carpenter.
I did apprentice with a carpenter when I was 8 years old.
Maybe Jesus. Or Ron Swanson. Ron Swanson.
I'm a vegan Ron Swanson.
Yeah, you mean that was the dude from Tombstone. He was in one of the older seasons of Parks and Rec. I'm getting a little bit too deep.
I'm trying to catch up with you on that one. I don't know.
Tell you what, it's a little bit controversial to say, especially while we're in the van. I am just not The Office fan. I don't like it. I think it's garbage TV for trash people.
Whoa.
Taking shots at 45 million listeners right now. And although they're not all our listeners, they're listeners of The Office.
I would just like to say to the podcast audience out there that is not the official position of Meadow Mountain Music. And we do not condone.
We're going to continue this episode and not start a fight.
We are going, yeah. There will be disciplinary action for that statement.
I bring it up because my friends really seem to connect over these TV shows, Parks and Rec, The Office, etc. And in an effort to maintain that connection with my best buds and working partners. No, I don't. I certainly don't fake it. If I don't like it, they're going to hear about it.
It's just like he's pretty much a classic Ron Swanson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the libertarian.
Haha, yeah, sure.
Doesn't faze me. I don't care. I'm not interested.
No, but I did try to get into Parks and Rec while we were driving home from Montreal, because when you have 2 straight days of 16 hours in the van, what else are you going to do?
So, do y'all have a TV that's centrally located that plays audibly for everyone to hear, or y'all going like smaller, like iPad situations? iPads?
We always start.
Your jam? What jelly's your donut? If it's your show. Are you watching, like, fucking The Bachelor? Are you watching, like, Designated Survivor? Or a documentary on Michael Jackson? Like, what does it for you? And don't say read. We're not readers on this podcast. And if you say podcast, you listen to only one.
No, I'm glad to hear it. I actually don't know how to read.
Ditto!
So I feel, for the first time, welcome and, like, the comfort of home among friends.
You've kept that secret from me for 14 years, Jack.
You're safe here.
Thank you.
And I can see why, if you can't read, that's why The Office is probably over your head a little bit. That's
my problem with The Office, is that it's too highbrow for me, for sure. No, we listen to a lot of music in the van. We always start out a tour listening to the same thing over the van speakers, and everyone's down. And then halfway through the first day, people start, like, going into their own world and listening to their own headphones, maybe watching a movie on their phone or something.
Radiohead? Where do we start with? Do you all have an album?
What's the community music?
So we start with what in the bluegrass biz we call mash music, which is music that comes from the deep south, and is like, it's essentially country music but played by bluegrass musicians, and that lasts for 4 hours. And then you get a little bit tired of it. And then y'all go into your own thing, and then day 2 arrives, right? Because you're driving across the country. We're headed for D.C. or last time it was Charlotte. Day 2 arrives, and everyone's just waiting for the first person to say it in the morning, you know. But it finally arrives, and someone says,
Tupac.
No, it's better than that, dude. Someone says, what if we put on Deichkind, which is German rap.
My favorite German hip hop group, Deichkind. You should check it out for those listeners at home.
You know,
shout out Deichkind.
Yeah, we'll shout out Deichkind. That's a fucking great shout out. And it gives me something new to try out, because I'm a big 80s guy, so I'm usually never given the aux cord. So I was curious how that fight would go with 5 musicians. Honestly, you won if you got folks to listen to German hip-hop.
Yeah, Jack was the real uniting force there with the German hip-hop.
Yeah, I did find that stuff watching slacklining videos in high school, I think. Actually, around that time, Summers and I were on TV once. I was telling a friend recently, I remembered.
What?
Do you remember when we were on TV for slacklining?
Now I do.
That happened.
Wait, let's go into that. When was the first time you were on television and or arrested? Those are fun stories.
Well, we were nearly arrested on this last tour this February.
Oh, that is a great story.
Mule and drugs? I've heard that's a thing, too. For everyone.
Well, no, because they thought that's what we were doing.
We'll all know here.
Just wink when you say it.
The
camera's
listeners
not
will
even
never
rolling.
know.
I actually haven't told my parents, and they probably are listening.
Apologies to Anne and Michael Dunleavy.
Shout out Ann and
We're breaking
Michael.
technical news here. We almost got arrested on the last tours, but we're about to hear the story.
This
of.
is
We
actually
did.
also breaking news to my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad.
That's
What you're
Kristen
about
and
to hear
David
did not
Baker.
happen.
Shout out Mom and Dad.
We
I quit a long time ago.
so to get to DC to start this last tour, we had to drive out of Denver pretty early in the morning, and then stop somewhere around Kansas City, sleep not enough, get up early again, and make the rest of the way over to DC. And we were nearly to our Airbnb in St. Peters, Missouri. Nope, it was St. Peters. I remember because I booked the
He's on
Airbnb.
it. He's got this one.
And everyone listening to the podcast has no idea that I corrected anyone because Summers wasn't speaking in the mic when he offered that.
Sorry.
Yeah, no one caught. Is it Kip?
Yeah.
No one caught Kip complimenting me because he wasn't talking in the mic either. I'm just trying to keep everyone up to speed here. We were
I'm getting
like
called out for that.
25 minutes outside of where we were going to stop for the night. We'd been in the van for like 15 hours driving. We pulled over to do our last driver swap. Maybe someone needed to pee. And we come off this exit, and there's like no services here. And as we're pulling off, there's a state trooper. Yeah, there's a state trooper right there on the off-ramp. And everyone's like, oh, shit, that's a cop. Make a really complete stop at the stop sign, turn left, and we'll go over there and switch drivers, get back on the road. And just so your listeners at home know, we are not exactly the partyingest band out there. We're pretty straight-laced as far as they go. So we didn't really have anything to hide.
No DMT, no ketamine,
was that a
no
wink?
nitrous tanks.
Did I see
Oh,
winks?
yeah?
As a wink with both
Wink for
eyes.
flying.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
In the movies.
Anyway, we make our left turn. We go over to this abandoned, sketchy-ass gas station in the middle of the dark. And then we just see lights on behind us. And it's the first time we've been pulled over as a band. And
Driving a Ford E350 15-passenger van with Colorado plates in the depths of Missouri.
Oh, I bet that's a search waiting to happen.
yeah, absolutely. So we get stopped. We pull over into this like dilapidated gas station, and the trooper comes up, and she's getting. Summers was driving. She took his license and the registration and everything, and we're calling her ma'am, and we're being very, I don't know, respectful. We are, yeah. We did not discuss her attractiveness at that time.
If what you're asking is, did I try to pick her up while I was being
No, not while
I was
you're
being
being
questioned? The
detained.
answer is no.
No. They make my gear pucker inside me. I'm scared of police officers, and I'm not sure exactly why, but there is that sense of seniority, or like, I don't know if it's the dominance that she can handcuff me and do as she pleases. This is the second time I've mentioned Super Troopers.
Yeah.
But I've had that fascination.
Yeah, no, we are not going to yuck your yum, man. No kink shaming in Meadow Mountain. So she comes up, she takes our license and registration, goes back, runs everything, comes back, and we're like, oh man, this is awesome. The first time we get pulled over, it just goes completely smoothly. This is the best possible way it could have gone. She gets to the car, hands him his stuff, and we're all expecting her to say, all right, drive safe, be on your way. She says, I'm smelling weed in this van. So, will you guys let me search your van? And Summers pauses for a second, and I can see the gears turning in his head, and he's like, this is a trap. This is full on a trap.
Spoiler alert, it was a trap.
The narrator was like, and it was a trap.
And then ensued one of the most stressful, like, 2-hour periods, way too late at night after way too much driving that I have ever experienced. The only time any of us, I think, have been ordered out of a vehicle by a police officer.
So no dub was found in the van. Shout out, Mom and Dad.
yeah.
We got through it.
All right.
I'm so sick of being profiled as a white male. How about y'all?
Nah, I was actually...
Colorado and
Next
it's rough,
time, say
man.
no. Do not search the van.
No, we didn't say it was okay, but then she decided that since she thought she smelled weed in the van, and we didn't have any weed in the van, that she had probable cause to search it, and she called 2 other police officers to come give her backup, so we had to wait for that, and it's a little cold, and Summers is like shivering because he's freaked out and because it's cold, and he's in a t-shirt.
Cops are scary,
True.
man.
Dude, they're scary. I'm scared of cops.
Even if I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm genuinely scared of them. And I mean, again, I made
You're
the joke
generally
a second
doing something wrong, though.
That is true. I mean, I don't drive anymore not because of an amount of arrests. It's preventative measures. I'm being proactive rather than reactive. They're not going to ding me for $10,000 in a fucking ticket. You know, like,
Boom.
not chancing it anymore. I'm just going to use city transportation, scooters, and Ubers.
Yeah, it's very responsible.
I respect it.
Yeah. But, yeah, so you got out of this. Oh, is that the worst that's happened in Lady Luck, a.k.a. Perfectenschlag? Because you always hear about woes of people's tours, like raining, 2 tires go flat at the same time, and, you know, someone's got, you know, a stomach bug. Have we had any, like, miserable stories from the road?
We haven't had the breakdown yet. The breakdown has not happened over 2 really, like, extensive tours. Probably covering something like 3,000-4,000 miles each tour.
That's what my next question was going to be like.
Yeah.
How many miles have you put on all
Oh, we
that?
probably put like 10,000 on it since we got it.
Bullshit.
Maybe.
You've said D.C., you've said Charlotte, you've come out here,
Yeah.
Missouri, I guess that could be on the way to one of those. That's
Yeah.
like, that's fuck tons of miles.
Yeah, we put
Yeah.
a ton of miles. We haven't broken down yet, which is like crazy lucky. It's crazy lucky, but and there's plenty of wood to knock on.
Jack,
So we're gonna
please
do
knock
that.
on wood.
I'm going to take a break to knock on wood here.
I'm not a superstitious man, Kip.
Oh, okay. He doesn't.
No, I'll do it for you.
That will be the reason that it doesn't happen. Yeah.
It's all right. We all knocked enough so that even if
We
you
covered
don't
each other.
believe in luck,
But haven't broken down yet. No one has had a violent illness yet.
I mean,
People have
I just
been
asked
sick.
y'all
Yeah,
like
there have been a couple-
repertoire of, like, terrible questions. Y'all
Yeah.
can shit on me if it happens.
There's still time.
there have been a couple, like,
There's still-
someone's hungover after partying at the show or the festival.
Yeah.
Actually, the closest thing...
that doesn't count.
The closest thing is last time we were leaving this festival in upstate New York called Gray Fox in July. And it had been stunning weather the whole festival. It was a great experience. It was our first time playing there. And we were planning to leave on Sunday. And it started to get a little bit weathery Saturday night. We were thinking, all right, we've played everything we're supposed to do. We're going to get out of here. We're going to beat the weather. It's going to be great. We woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to try to get out of there and make the first half of the journey home. It was pouring rain. We were camping in the woods. I was in a tent on an air mattress that was floating on water that had just seeped into the tent. And I'm just like washing around the bottom of this tent as I wake up way too early after we had been hanging out all night. And other members of the band, no one present here, Mom, were waking up, like falling out of the tent and throwing up immediately. And we knew that we had to pack up. And packing the van for a tour like that, we had to bring a PA system because we had a couple small gigs where we were setting up our own sound. And there was only one way to fit everything in the van. It was like a jigsaw puzzle. Our fiddle player, Ian, has an eye for that. He's the spatial awareness guy.
You need him in Survivor to get
Shout out
past,
to
you
Ian.
know, in every challenge.
Shout out, Ian.
Watch a lot of
Yes.
Survivor.
And so it was just miserable. We had to go get the van, drive it over to the woods where we were camping. It's muddy. People are getting sick. Everything's completely wet, and we have to stuff all this wet stuff into the van that we're going to be in for the next 48 hours.
I bet the smells.
Yeah, that's why we have the air blast function.
That's what their blast is
an
for.
hour.
Exactly. Or more. Sometimes more. Depends on the Chipotle intake. But yeah, that was a rough morning, man. I I remember I was in the tent with the unnamed band member who leaned over me.
Ian?
Not Ian. We're doing some deductive reasoning here.